Thank you, Brian. He was an atheist who set out on a mission to destroy Christianity and to prove that Jesus was not real. Instead, he came away a believer. And now Christian minister Lee Strobel's best-selling book, he sold 7 million copies of this book. It's called The Case for Christ. You've probably read it. It's hitting the big screen now on April 7th.
I've spent my entire career as a journalist uncovering the truth until the day my wife presented me with the biggest story of my life.
I'm not going to lose my wife and my kids to something that I can't even reason with.
And what happened next changed me forever.
It did indeed. Joining us right now is the author of The Case for Christ, Lee Strobel. Good morning to you, Lee.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right,
with you.
So in that clip, we saw you were a Chicago Tribune investigative reporter, and you did not believe in God.
I didn't. I was
and
an
you were out
atheist.
to prove that he didn't exist.
Well, because my wife became a Christian, and we started to have conflict in our marriage because all of a sudden our worldviews were clashing. And so I thought if I could rescue her from this cult that she got involved in, then everything would go back to normal, you know. So I thought if I could disprove the resurrection, I could, which I figured would take a weekend, you know, can't be that hard. You know, then I could get her out of this cult. That was my plan.
What's so great about how God works is you went to go prove that he didn't exist, and you walked away a believer.
I did. I mean, it took 2 years of my life to look at the historical evidence for the resurrection.
You fought it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I did fight it. The thing about Christianity is it really invites investigation. Because if it's true, then certain things in history happened. That Jesus lived, that he died, and that he was reliably encountered afterwards. So those are historical issues. We can investigate those. That's not true of a lot of other religions, which tend to get lost in the shrouds of history in terms of origins and so forth.
But what made you so positive about the information you saw regarding the resurrection and everything else, where it wasn't just mythology?
Yeah, because as an investigative journalist, my role was to seek out the best possible sources, not just look for opinions, but look for their reasoning, look for their evidence, look for the facts underlying that.
Right.
And so I went to the best people I could. I interviewed all kinds of scholars and experts, and really came to the conclusion that Jesus was certainly dead. Even the Journal of the American Medical Association says he was dead before the wound to his side was inflicted. And we have 9 ancient sources inside and outside the New Testament confirming and corroborating the conviction of the disciples that they encountered the resurrected Jesus.
I mean, what's great about your story is, as a believer, I'm one of those that's just like, okay, if it says it, I believe it because faith in God, that's just how he works in my life. But there are a lot of my friends that are very scientific, and they want to see the proof. And I watched this movie, and you get that proof. And it was fascinating to me to see that side of it, because I watched in the movie how your life changed and your mind changed. You were raising a daughter together, too. Your daughter was little, and your wife was telling her, we need to pray, and you were saying, I don't want to teach our daughter this.
Right, exactly. There's a lot of conflict. But, you know, what I discovered in that process is that if we sincerely seek truth and we try to keep an open mind, I'm in the old school of journalism. You know, I was taught you keep an open mind. You try to be balanced. You try to look at both sides. And so even though I wanted to disprove it, I tried to call a ball and a strike, and look at the evidence for what it really was.
So what happened to the mustache?
You know, in 1980, the movie takes place, and we all had the hair, but I never was able to. We all had that hair. I was never able to grow the mustache, though. That's.
Can you believe how good God is, though? You were a journalist, and now you're pastoring a mega church in Houston or in the Woodlands.
I tell you, it's a great adventure. I wanted to stay in journalism because I think it's important to have a Christian worldview represented in the newsroom. But God called me out of that into a whole different thing at a 60% pay cut from my journalism days. But you know what? It was an adventure of a lifetime.
But you sold a lot of books to make up for it.
Yeah, well, there you go.
And the retirement plan.
That's true.
All right. The book is called The Case for Christ, and the movie as well. All right, Lee, thank you very much.
God bless you. Thanks, Angel.
God bless you. I wish you all the best with this movie.
Thanks so much.
All right.